All right, this is the after chapter discussion for 9.48 BTIPRLJMWVRV. That was a lot of random letters. And if anyone's wondering what it means, let me find the list once again. It's Bethel Thomas, Monty Palt, Rufelt, Lasiska, Jellicoe, Mogin, Wayland, Visaria, and Relk Vale Teresa. That's the whole list. And it's a lot. And just from that list alone, I'm sure everyone knows what this chapter is about. It's about shipping. So let's just get into the general impressions everyone had of the chapter. I will start us off. Anyone who has any general impressions or wants to speak, go ahead and put them in ACD Live reactions, comments. For me, I don't know if all you know this about me, but I am not the biggest romance fan. So overall, I would say this is a 7 out of 10 chapter. I did like it. I did. It was a fun chapter. It just the focus of it was, not the thing I particularly like too much. I like the Dornell Liska and her basically her being turned into how the inn is going to get the LGBTQ plotline started, how it's going to really develop and end is Liska being given a real purpose besides, screwing with Tyrion with the door and making it so Tyrion can never come into the inn. Also, she's level 24. Level 24. That's just after a couple months of being a Dornell. She's level 24. It's insane. She got a lot of counter leveling going on from Tyrion, obviously. And yeah, Hidden Door, cool skill. Great Illusion Door, also cool skill. So yeah, I like all of this. It was a great chapter. Well, okay, not a great chapter. It was a 7 out of 10 chapter. Whatever you want to call that, but I liked it anyways. All right, let's just get into impressions. Sidehammer, why don't you start us out?
It's a good chapter and focused again for the most part. Love that. I'm really digging Ovama and Aaron. Excuse me. Bouncing off each other. Uh, Aaron looking at her or playing with her color powers was also fun. And I'm looking forward to more of that. Seeing it, I don't know that. I don't know. Being taken under Ovama's wing was pretty fun, but also like her learning to retrust her instincts after learning about all the different couples or stuff like that was pretty good. And I'm not a I'm not a huge like advocate for romance, but I did enjoy all of the or most of the the coupling in the story, especially I think Rolk and Bethel is always fun to play around, so that was good. So actually, I have one last thing to talk about, but that's has to do with Oneva and and Isker. But I think I'll wait for later to get into it.
We do have we'll do a ship. We'll do the very first question is going to be about your favorite ship this chapter. So if you want to save that information, go ahead. We'll get into a lot of that because that's what this chapter is about. But I do agree with you. I was really interested in getting more of the colors and magic going. It's interesting to learn that she's basically terrible at it. So how will she kind of learn and figure out where it will apply to her? Because obviously just coloring things isn't going to be her deal. I do still think it has to do with her fires and dealing with that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of put out a little bit that Erin's always terrible at something, and she's always got to be kind of put down. But I think she'll find her hidden talent for it at some point. So yeah.
Well, yeah, um, you can't be good at everything. She's got to be bad at some stuff. I'm fine with it being painting. It seems okay to be bad at that, I guess. Anyways, Edoron, you wanted to speak. You want to give your impressions. Do it.
Can you feel the love tonight? Wonderful chapter. Shipping always nice. Pirates said they are no expert when it comes to romance. I think they did a fine job with all the couples and fleshing out new ships that were up and coming more and more. Finally, we got poor Grim Malcolm's got his stick over his head with a goddamn letter from Aaron. Trust me, I'm innkeeper 40 plus. I know what I'm saying. She likes you. And yeah, Relk and Vela Teresa was just cute. I don't have any other words for what's happened there. It was at some point painful to read, but love is sometimes painful, and how Fourth Company stood behind him was just amazing. I really enjoyed this chapter, and I can't wait for the best shippings.
Yeah, they. I will say, Pirate Habit seems to go more for the in this chapter at least, they went more for the painful, dense romance aspect more than anything else. And that is definitely a part of romance. Hopefully, with a lot of the characters getting past that phase, we see a more in-depth look. We get more of the romantic aspects as well.
And I didn't know that colors could be so dangerous. But
yeah, it's interesting.
Good to know. And one other thing, I don't know if I confused this with the other chapter, but Bert watching the high passes, did he watch what exactly did he spectate there? The yellow dragon.
He saw Rafima. She's
the survival training that she's doing up there.
Yeah, she's doing she has a yellow wyvern disguise.
Yeah. So
unlike Lionette, she knows how to change her color.
Well, cute to watch. But yeah, overall good chapter.
All right, thanks, Edoron. It is interesting to see how colors are dangerous. It seems to be more than just the color. It seems to be part of the concept of the object that you take the color from. It's kind of interesting in that way. All right. I think that's all the people who wanted to speak out loud, so I'll start reading the comments. Wevwu says, not a fan of romance, 4 out of 10 for me. I understand that, yeah. This story, after being pretty romance-less for 12 million words, I'm sure it's attracted quite a few people that aren't the biggest fans of romance at this stage. Linu has a big impression, so let me read it all out. Linu says, my general impression is that it was one of the best non-Sylvania chappies this volume. Strong 7 out of 10. Why? Because in my opinion, Pirate's greatest strength is writing the characters. Pirate doesn't write characters as characters, but as people. It really does feel to me as the relations between the people. Doesn't matter if it isn't this chapter, and we've Zern Patva and Kazatha, romantic, or Sylvania snuggling with her cat, platonic, or you have this chapter. In this chapter, we've few different kind of people, always horny Bethel and always eager to comply, Thomas, dense Malking and class pride, Sergeant of Tail Smash and Archmage of Please Teach Me How to Reverse My Aging. I really just, but I like this chappy. Even Pirate was surprised I liked it, but it was a great one. It was nearly as good as non-Sylvanian chappy can go for me, mainly because of pure characters interaction. Pirate characters are top-notch, and I will forever stay by that. And yeah, I will agree with you wholeheartedly that Paradaba's Paradaba's characters are the best part of the story. They really can capture a character very well and make it very realistic and make them really stand out. So yeah, I'll agree with you on that wholeheartedly. Mystical Pie says, I definitely enjoyed the secret queer section of the end plot advancing. It was cool to see more of Eren/Olvama's dynamic and how Olvama is able to push Eren. It was also great to finally see more romance. I feel like it's always been the weakest part of Pirate's very strong characterization. I'm hoping to see these relationships progress organically in the background of upcoming chapters instead of being delegated to a single chapter thinking purely around relationships. We have had some relationships, progress in the background, such as Amani and Pult. They haven't, featured super heavily in chapters, but over time, since Volume 7, they have grown into a great romantic pairing and that hasn't featured in one distinct chapter that I can think of. It's been kind of growing over time. It's really cool to see. I like it. So hopefully you're right, and they'll continue that trend with these characters now too. Kylara says, someone suggested color in relation to light, and I could see that being the direction Eren goes. Everyone complimented the sunset she created. She's done light shows in the gardens before, etc. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It would be really cool to see her do it with light as well. Linu says, Lionette is dum-dum. Yeah, her disguising ability is not very good. Dart Time Goose says, I feel like it's a shame that Eren's laugh at the start wasn't Okay. Kania says, not a fan of romance either, but there was some good development and it was entertaining. It was a shame there weren't color shenanigans. I also get a feeling that maybe these might be death flags. Most of these characters haven't got too much plot armor, and Pirate might go on a killing spree on the winter solstice with so many characters and people complaining that almost nobody dies lately. It's always possible, but I would be very sad to see a lot of these characters go. I would be very, very sad. Like, if we see Pride and Grimalkin die without ever moving an inch forward in their relationship, I would be very sad. Very sad. Yeah, it could happen. We could be setting up some deaths on the horizon. All right. I feel like that's all the general impressions we have. And so let's just move on to the meat of this discussion, I'm sure. Favorite ship this chapter, and which ship you hope sinks to the bottom of the sea, which ship you want more of. So yeah, what were your ships this chapter? What'd you like about it? Everything. Go. For me, my favorite ship this chapter was definitely Grimalkin and Pride. It's still just very funny to me. It's still just very funny to me to see Grimalkin be super, both super dense and kind of ashamed of his appearance in a way, even though, it might not be warranted. He's just not super, he doesn't have a huge ego about it, and it's interesting to see because from what we've seen with Grimalkin, he's always been a very self-assured person. Even though he's never come across as super arrogant to me, he's always come across as someone who, understands his own value in many ways. And this kind of I wouldn't say self-loathing, but this view of himself is very different from how I would expect him to think. But yeah, that was my favorite chip. At least favorite chip. Oh no, my other favorite chip this chapter was also Ishkur and Onivia. That was I was completely blindsided by that, but I really liked it. It was very funny to me. It was very good. Least favorite ship? I guess it would probably be Bethel and Thomas. I don't like Bethel and Thomas too much. They're way too over the top for me. But that's just, personal opinion type deals here. But yeah, they're way too over the top for me. So I hope we get to see more of Onivia and Ishkur in the future, though. That would be fun. All right. I'm sure that might get me some people angry at me, as I see in the chat. How about you? Kick it off, Ederon. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're wrong because Bethel and Thomas, I think they are my favorite couple in the world. Bethel's is so over the top. It's always funny if she's in the picture. You never know what she's going to do next. You never know what she's up to. It's just yelling, all my family died in the sacrifice of roses, just to get that fucking spot on the beach. She's always alright, and her counterweight is of course the always calm and friendly, chivalrous Thomas. So I really wouldn't mind even a whole arc with these two, to be honest. These are my favorite new couple is Ralk and Villa Teresa. It's just a pair I would never seen have coming. Pirate has sneakily maybe even always thought about it, because Welk was always this puzzle dude and she was always the one who made the puzzles, and maybe that was coming like 100 volumes ago. And the couple, the new ship I want to see, it's probably pretty cracked, but Eren and Olvama, I don't know. It's never gonna happen. I know it's never gonna happen. But Olvama is always able to get Eren out of a comfort zone. She is really an MVP character for her in the last since she's in the wheelchair. Olvama is just there for Eren. She's grumpy, she is mocking her, she is always acting like all she cares about is food. But I think she is right now Eren's biggest support pillar for so many things. And if maybe there could be more between them, it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, Brack agrees with you in chat by saying, give me more Olvama x Eren. And Bill's Restoraus also agrees with you, saying, Ederon is spitting facts here. Yeah, I definitely see quite a bit of agreement with you, Ederon. And additionally, I've seen quite a few people talk about Olvama x Eren. I didn't really get the sense in this chapter that was something that either of them wanted, but I'm not the best at seeing that kind of stuff, and maybe it's something that'll evolve in the future.
Like I said, it's probably something that will never happen, but it would be interesting, I think. And I mean, Olvama has done so much for Eren with the dancing and the straight up advice she always is giving her. It's
I can see it.
Yeah.
It could work in the future. I feel like if it's gonna work in the future, it's at very early stages right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing I wanted to say in response to you was, you're right that I always wonder how far back Paradaba planned some of these things, because I think Relk was really shown to be a puzzle person in Volume 8, I think, or maybe even sooner than that. Oh, wait,
Way
no. He
before,
was. It
way
was yeah. It
before.
was in Volume 6 with Embria, the Embria interlude. He showed off his puzzles back then. And I think it was Volume 8 that Veil Teresa was shown to make puzzles. That's what I was thinking of. So I wonder, I do wonder if you're right, that they were already thinking Veil Teresa and Relk all the way back then. And that would be a lot of planning just to go into it for, 4 million words later. It would be very interesting. But yeah, you're right. Thank you, Edoran. Sidehammer, you want to speak?
Yeah. Favorites. Damn. Excuse me. Favorite has to be Rolkin Valley. I'm just really happy that Rolk got a what is it, a one-liner in there, or a pickup line in there that worked, and it totally rocked her. That
Yeah,
was great.
his one-liner was great.
It's a mortal moment. Yeah, that was great. But I do like that the solution to Valley and Rolk wasn't to badger them; it was to let it play out. They let them be, adults. I think that does kind of, I don't know, it puts them in a category in the Wandering End that is not usually inhabited. Usually people are kind of quite childish, or they're like completely stiff or something like that, But to have two goofballs, yet they're actually emotionally, I don't know, mature enough to actually go through with something or something like that is it's just a nice change to see. I've never been a big fan of Pault and Imani, and I wasn't a really big fan of them in this chapter, to be honest. I think I noted Imani stopping Pault from saying something ribald, and then Imani later telling everybody that he is a small dick. I just thought that was uncalled for. I mean, it's a joke, but I don't know. It's kind of, one-way street type of thing. It's just kind of sucky. But I've always liked Rufelt and Lysaika together, or Lysaika. They've been a good one. It's interesting to see how they can joke about what happened, but that's means to healing, which is really good. They definitely had some of the biggest tanks in the story for a long time. Fucking Belivier. But what did interest me after I think my second read through, you mentioned you liking Oneva and Iskra. I have to wonder, given Oneva's status, is there an argument that has to be made about consent and disclaiming something? Is Iskar attracted to Oneva? Is Iskar okay with the fact that, I mean, will Iskar be okay with the fact if something were to happen that Oneva is Salus as well? Is the fact that Iskar hasn't had much luck in love, that he was also a bit like his sister, and has never felt truly fulfilled in a relationship like that. I think that might be one of the better avenues it could go down, to be honest. I would really rather there not be an arc about Salus, Oneva, and Isker, and anyone agonizing over sexuality like that. It's just not an argument I ever really want to see or to be honest, even discuss here after it happens. Excuse me. But there is a potential of that. I mean, it is Pirate does treat these people like people. So it would be interesting. It will be interesting to see where that goes. I just hope, like always, I just hope no angst. But angst sometimes happens. But yeah. So those are my thoughts about that.
All right. Well, if Oniva and Ishka ever, move past ogling each other every now and then, I would hope that Oniva, feels comfortable enough. Well, I guess it can't come from Oniva because Oniva doesn't know. It would
Right.
have to come from Salus or Myrn, or Salus or Myrn, basically. So
And that's a death sentence if it goes wrong. So I get why, I get why there's secrecy. I totally do. But at the same time, if someone got into a relationship like that and all of a sudden they learned, I mean, obviously it's a topical these days, and it's not the best time. It's not the best argument you want to get into with political correctness, and and I don't know. It's just it can be messy, and I don't really want that mess here. But at the same time, Pirate is a really good writer, and they could make it work.
Well, just from Ishker, kind of being part of the inn and being very accepting, and even knowing Liska or not knowing Liska, having Liska as his sister for a long time, and bailing her out in terms of her issues with the Watch and the LGBT scene. I think Ishker would be very understanding of that kind of issue. And so I don't think it would ever come to the point where it's super serious, where Oniva is thinking of actually killing Ishker because he knows, because Ishker doesn't accept it. I don't think it would come to that, but we'll find out in the future, maybe. I don't actually see them doing a super long romance arc between them. Maybe it'll be in the background, something like that, but yeah. I don't see it being as a super big.
Yeah, I don't think she'd actually kill him. I think I understand. I understand why they wouldn't mention it, but at the same time, it just brings up questions about consent and informed consent, I guess, like that, and stuff like that. And I think it would be interesting if Isker turned out to be or leaning that way, or if I don't think even if it happens that Isker would be like ill disgust. I mean, would denigrate it. I think Isker's the chillest person in the end. Basically, I think he'd be like, no thanks. But if that was his choice, if he had to turn it down, but I don't see him running towards the Watch for that type of thing. I mean, that's all. And I'm stuttering a bit, so I'm gonna stop now.
All right, thank you. Sidehammer. Another thing. Oh crap! I forgot what else I wanted to respond to you about, but that's fine. We have plenty of other people in chat who have typed some stuff up, and I'll go ahead and read them now. Mystical Pie says Grimalkin/Pride was definitely also my favorite. Ishkur/Oniva is weird. I don't necessarily want it to die, but if it proceeds, going to get very complicated with the fairy flowers. Relic/Veil Teresa is also super cute. Gives me innocent high school relationship vibes, but in a good way. Yeah, it in response to Relic/Veil Teresa bit, I definitely agree with you that it's more just these two people like each other, and it seems very mutual, and there's some awkwardness, but it feels like just the normal kind of awkwardness where things probably won't go wrong. So I'm hopeful for that relationship. Grimalkin / Pride is a bit different, because they're both. Well, one of them is dense as hell, and the other one is too prideful to say anything ever. So yeah, there could be some serious issues there, and we just talked about Ishkur / Aniva, so I won't say anything more about it for now. Linu says Veil Teresa X Relk for the win. Why I love the ship? Veil Teresa because she's Sylvania fangirl. I gotta appreciate someone who's drilling over my meow meow. Relk is a tail guardian of Liskor. That man can destroy half the high passes with his mighty tail. Well, maybe not. But I generally like their ship. They share hobbies. They're both pretty cute in relation. I think it might work, and I really do hope that it's going to work. Relk lost his wife long ago. Vale has never had any long-lasting relationship like that. They're both good people. They deserve to be happy. Deserve to have happiness and each other. Really wish that it works out and they will love each other, care for each other, and have a happy time because they deserve it. My most disliked chappie, Bethel X Thomas, because Tomio was trolling me today. Easy revenge of a cat demon. Okay, that is definitely a very Linu way of getting revenge, saying the ship sucks. But it doesn't suck, and it's not really ship. They're in a committed relationship. But yeah, I don't like Bethel and Thomas either because they're way too much for me. So you're right. Anything else? Yeah, Relk. Relk did lose his wife a long time ago, and he's been in kind of like a holding pattern for a long time, it feels like, in that regard. But yeah, I think, Luna says the pairing between the most disliked pairing, basically, not chappy. Yeah. All right. I think that's it for this question. Let's move on to the next one, which is another big topic from this chapter, though it kind of is a bit of a backseat to the rest of the chapter. But will Aaron's perspective on relationships permanently change after events of last chapter? Will she be more chill and understanding about them? And this is, something that kind of was touched based on during the chapter itself, where Aaron is like being convinced to, help Olvama help these relationships work. And as Aaron is kind of helping these relationships, she's at the same time learning more about what a relationship really is. Because as we've seen before, Aaron has very twisted standards, very hard to meet standards on what an actual relationship is like. So I think Olvama actually taking her through and having her push and not push on certain topics with certain people and just observing how these relationships start and what they're all about, I think that will really help Aaron. It'll ground her expectations of any future relationship, and it should ground what she actually is looking for. Since, as we all know, she had absolutely meteoric expectations from even just starting a relationship. Someone, she thinks she needs to fall in love immediately, and the person needs to be able to protect everything she cares about from anything. And that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. It's very unrealistic. But I think this chapter definitely helped. It definitely helped in the right regard. All right, Sidehammer, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you made an excellent point. And actually, you stole a lot of my points. So I won't rehash them. But I do think, I'll rehash a few. I do think Aaron has always been takes one look at a relationship. As soon as she gets anything, close to affectionate, she wigs out and turns away and looks away. I think guiding her hand or guiding her eyes towards it will be like a bit of like, exposure therapy in a way. And I do think once she gets to talking about her own trauma with the chieftain, and then and all this going on with Olima, seeing, like you said, seeing the couples, the different stages, the different levels of intimacy, and all that kind of thing. I do think this will be a major shift in her perspective going forward, unless something drastic happens and pushes her back. But yeah, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's gonna be a good change.
All right, thank you, Sidehammer. And yeah, absolutely a good change. It's she wants to have that romance aspect, and if she knows what it looks like, she can figure it out herself easier. It should help a lot. And hopeful. I don't think she's going to do anything with it in the near term, since that's all been kind of shoehorned into dealing with the winter solstice, so she can't really focus on that. But I think for after that, after all her friends die, we might see something,
Wiggles.
What, Edron?
Don't say that.
Okay, everyone is saying there's death flags for the solstice, okay? Okay? Anyways, Thedicon says Aaron should destroy them all so she doesn't have to feel icky stuff going on at her inn. That's a really good point, Thedicon. That's very interesting. I think you're onto something here. She should become the death romance, and her end could be the whole absence of romance. That'd be that's a nice that's a nice idea. I like it. And Linu says, I think Erin will become better innkeeper because of this, mainly because she will learn how to observe people better. She was already good at spotting people's emotions, if they are happy or sad or frustrated. Anything really. But the relation, you could put a break in Erin competition. Who is going to spot people in relationships first? I would put all my money on Brick for 2 reasons. Erin was ignoring the relationship part of people for her own reasons. That's one. Second is that I would ask Slovenia to siphon luck from people betting against me. Gotta make sure. But yes, overall, I think in grand total, Erin will learn from it and become far better than any break. P.S. Fuck them flag for the solstice. I want happiness and fluff now. Fuck death. God should kill themselves. I want happiness and story. Well, we don't know what will happen. It could be nothing. Erin could be preparing for a lot of stuff, and then they just leave her alone during the solstice. It could happen. But at this point, I do feel like we're going to get some nastiness happening. I'm prepared for it. My body is ready. I've prepared my mind to lose Grimalkin to Casigna's deadly embrace. I prepared my mind to lose Bird. Not really. I don't think Bird is dying. I don't think Bird's dying. Bird's safe. But yeah. Mystical Pie says, I think Erin is in the process of changing and unpacking some of her aversion to anything romantic, but I don't think there's going to be a massive shift in her perspective yet. Yeah, it's not a massive thing. It always takes time. It's always something that you work for, and I do think this is a good step, though. This chapter was a very good step for her. Luna says, hands off from here, with a very scary cat emote. I don't think they're going to go for Rahir, actually. I don't. I think Rahir is somewhere they're not comfortable being in many ways. So I think they'll be fine. Edoron says, I think happiness and fluff is not what your mistress wants, in response to Edoron. In response to Linu. And Linu says, she said so last chapter when I asked her about it. All right, we're not going to get into that. We're not doing it. Not doing it. All right. I think we got all the answers for this question. So let's go on. All right. This connects back to what we were just talking about. So if nothing does happen on the solstice, do you think Erin would lose face with all the people she recruited for the fight of their lives? Or, what kind of consequences would Erin see if nothing happens? Lovelu, go ahead.
All right, the thing is that Erin has already established her credibility. If nothing happens, then like the strategically minded people will be like, wait, they weren't here, then what were they doing? Like they would like Chaldean, Nears, especially Fidohep, and like so many people already know that she was right, or they are so convinced that she's right that something's going on, that they would absolutely think that something else happened if they didn't attack during the solstice. So I do think like the gods, their best play would probably be to not attack Aaron because Aaron's the only one that's ready for them. If they want to like make this huge play, then they are probably going to go to a whole bunch of other people that they can influence. And so I think it's extremely likely even that nothing will happen on the solstice, except for like maybe them sending a seam walker at her somehow. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think it would hurt Aaron's credibility at all. I think that the people that trust her already know that she was 100% correct.
All right. I will disagree with you on them not coming there personally or not sending. A seam walker is a pretty big threat. If they send a seam walker somehow, that's something. That's pretty big. But I do think it will be a bit more than just that. Because the main reason I think that is they're petty. They are incredibly, incredibly petty. And Erin has gone after them multiple times now. Erin has like promised that she won't let them get away with this. And they know that. And they don't like that at all. They're not people who can get over someone spiting them so much as Erin has done. So I do think they will come, even if it's not the smartest option or it's not the best way to go about it. It just, how will they do? How will they come? That's more of what I'm thinking of. Like, what will they do rather than will they or won't they? But will she lose respect on the solstice if they don't come? I think for someone like Chaldean, he might suffer some consequences if nothing happens. And it would just, further the issues with his people thinking he's losing his mind because of his age. So that could have some indirect consequences on Aaron, where Chaldean is basically not able to help her nearly as much because they're kind of phasing him out. But other than that, I'm not sure Aaron herself will have many consequences because the people she's asked are people she knows very well, and they're people that aren't very likely to hold it against her. The other people who are coming in, like Tyrion, they were asked by Ryoka and yeah, basically Ryoka to actually get them to come. So, I mean, it's their fault. I don't think they'll blame Aaron. They'll probably blame Ryoka for convincing them. So not Aaron. Aaron won't get any trouble at all. It'll all be Ryoka's fault.
Well, also, Tyrion wouldn't think less of Ryoka either because he's already seen something during the summer solstice.
That's true. That's true. Plus, Tyrion is in love with her, so, can't be mad. Lena says, it was a prank, bro. Problem solved. Yeah. Prank. Just a prank. I told you to move a few thousand soldiers here. Just a prank. Get over it. Edoron, you want to speak?
Yes. Everything I wanted to say has previously been stated. First of all, the chances that nothing happens is like almost nil, and at this point, Aaron Solstice has become one of the most famous people in the in-world, and I don't really think that her credibility is, even if nothing were to happen, would sink. I don't really think that. That's it.
Yeah, she's gotten a lot of goodwill. If she has one false, or not even false, just one wrong prediction of an issue happening, I think people would understand. I don't think it would hurt her overly much. But thank you, Edron. Bill Strasaurus says, go free to Dancing Man in Wistrom. I don't think, well, he's not actually in Wistrom. He's, Aaron is in Wistrom, and he can feel the link to wherever the Dancing Man is. But I'm almost positive he's not physically in Wistrom. Mystical Pie says, was Chaldean in the room when she had the Massive Earther meeting about the gods? If not, I think she does lose some credibility purely because this is definitely the biggest favor she's called. Will almost definitely hurt Chaldean's credibility and lend credence to his advisor's suspicions that he's going senile regardless. Yeah, I think it would have negative implications mostly for Chaldean. Like if nothing happens, Chaldean will face the most negative reception, and that would hurt. It would hurt Aaron's ability to get help from him, but that's iffy help to begin with. Was he there at the meeting? I don't remember if Chaldean was in on that. I think he might have been. Maybe. I'm kind of remembering him, but I don't have a good memory of whether he's not there. He's there or not. Brack says, if nothing happens, she can tell everyone how Otheus knifed Nerishal while everyone is there to protect. Would that change anything, though? I don't know. Like, she would have to convince them she actually saw that. And I don't know if they would believe her. That'd be kind of hard to prove. A Dart Time Goose says, if they don't show up, it was clearly thanks to the mighty Shadow that defeated Caligma and crew. Exactly. The Shadow would triumph, and Aaron would be happy. Alias says, oh, nothing is going to happen on the solstice. For sure. I feel like that might be a sarcastic comment. It might just be. Maybe. And Linu says, hey, Wiggles, 8 armies of Pallas are worth less than 1 Kazatha, and she isn't even the most affectionate death reader. Honest talk, though, I don't think Aaron will lose credibility because she is simply the main source of knowledge about the enemy. Enemy worse than Otius or Yazdil. People simply have to trust her, and she showed her intentions to be true to her allies. From Nears to Fedo to demons, they all trust her and care. So don't think that they would lash out on her if shit didn't happen. Well, yeah. People close to her and who know her really well, I don't think they would hold it against her. It's the people surrounding those people that might, say, why did we just do this when nothing happened? Why did we expend all these resources? Wovu says, Magic Man, not the Dancing Man. I think Dancing Man was the one that fell off the edge of the world in a tragic dancing accident, IRC. Yeah, you're right. It was Magic Man, not Dancing Man. I even confused those when I was reading that. But yeah, it's the Magic Man, and the Magic Man is trapped in the box. But that box is almost certainly not in Wistrom. I want to say that for sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not in Wistrom. Linu says, I have idea. Let's cover entire world with Shadowbread. Gods will have to stay in space because they won't see the world. I'm fucking genius. I'm serious, by the way. This has to work. I don't think you could produce enough Shadowbread is the issue, Linu. Alias says, no, that's not sarcastic. That's my legitimate bet. Nothing is going to happen on the solstice in the end. Aaron will come off like the boy who cried wolf. The gods will do things in other places that don't get noticed with them, but build their power in really bad ways. Gods will spend the solstice in like Kelt / Roshal / Blighted Kingdom / Wisham with their agents and not do anything that gets out. Oh, okay. So, okay, you were serious. It just came out more sarcastic because you were saying for sure. I read that as the sarcastic part, but okay. Yeah, so I generally just disagree with that simply because they're so petty. I said this already, but it's like they're just the pettiest beings out there. I don't think they can let it go, especially Casigna. I don't think she can let it go. Kawine, I think, will actually go after Rochelle during this. But there's also the fact that we have to consider that they're not just going to go after Aaron, or they're not just going to do one thing or two things or three things. We saw in the Winter Solstice they went to so many different people, but we only saw them go for Ryoka and Aaron. And yeah, so I think they'll do something similar here, where they'll do multiple different things. All right, this. I think Mr. Pie is still typing. I'll give you a second if you have anything else to add, and then we'll go on to one more question, I think. Yeah, one more question, and then we'll end it, because it's getting close to the hour. Mystical Pie responds to Alias by saying, I think this would be the smart thing to do, but God so far have been characterized as pretty stupid. Pretty stupid and petty. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with you on that they're not the smartest beings around. They have Linda says, Wiggles, give second to right thing. Alright. We are now all waiting on Linu. So we're just gonna sit here and stare at Linu. Put some pressure on Linu's fingers to type much faster. Alright, and Edron needs to leave, so goodbye, Edron. Luna says, I think the gods are stupid because they are dead. They're brain dead. Not because they're stupid per se, but because they're dead, lost their wit and intelligence. This might change soon. It could be that, the part of them that's actually dead, it could be affecting their actual intelligence. Part of it is definitely that they're desperate to be alive too. They'll do anything to be alive at this point. All right. Linda's still typing. So I'll give it a second. Linda also says, I agree that they are petty, but I think they're stupid because of being dead, not being morons per se. That's it. Yeah, it's a good point. It could be part of the issue. All right, let's move on to our last question. Erin's been practicing her garden manipulation. Is there anything you've seen so far that she's done that you think would be helpful in the upcoming showdown for the solstice? So, has anything you've seen, made you think she's gonna have a real big part to play or something like that in the solstice? And Wevlu, you want to speak?
So we do know that her control has definitely gotten a lot better to the point where she can just literally drop people, usually just from their feet to anywhere she wants. She could probably, if the gods had like a physical form, she could probably drop them into a garden that's really hostile and just say the word firestorm, and and just like attack that way. We also saw in that part that was deleted that Aaron has a much better control, if that's still canon, of her powers, so that she's actually a serious force to be reckoned with in her in. So yeah, I mean, I think that she's probably one of the strongest characters that people don't usually think of in terms of fighting potential, but she really is. Like, she's probably underneath Salus and maybe even at Grimalkin level inside her in, which might be a hot take, but yeah.
I wouldn't even say it's too much of a hot take. She has been practicing. Well, okay, she's not at the level of Salus, okay? Salus is really
Well,
destructively focused, I'd say.
I did say that she was not at his level, because even in that like deleted section, Silas just looked at what was going on, being like, "No, I'm not going to deal with this."
Yeah, but I do think she's very she's improved a lot, at least recently, and as long as she actually fights in her inn, that's the kicker. She needs to actually be in her inn for any of this to matter. And so she can't leave her inn at all during the solstice, which I don't think she would want to, but her inn is the key here. If she stays in her inn, I do think she would actually be very useful for any kind of like physical threat that comes after them. Brack Giraffe says, Combat Beach, woo. Well, they didn't say the woo part. I added the woo part. But they did have a little tilde there, which I interpreted as a woo. Alias says, wait, what was this that got deleted? I haven't been able to keep up with the stream lately. Just the previous chapter, I think it was. Yeah, the Olvama chapter was started differently. It was more, it was Aaron going to scare the bejesus out of people by violence. That was basically it. And then it was changed into the Olvama chapter. But yeah, we didn't see too much of it. It's not too much of a spoiler. Don't worry about it. Thicron says, Casigna will walk into the inn and get stuck in a portal trap as the floor and ceiling and their entirety get turned into doors. Huh. All right, that's a huge amount of text, Luna. Kel says, we did see her go toe-to-toe with Symphony's second. If her strength hadn't been based on magic that could be dispelled, she might have taken that one down by herself. Yeah, and that has a lot to do with just her ability to move anywhere and everywhere within her in seconds. And that's only gotten better. She's only improved that in many different ways. Luna says, this is dead serious because I think how to save Slovenia. More Shadow Bread. Let's score. Northern Israel. Manus, Festival, Salah something, Palace, Water One. Every city in Israel. Belarus, Tarantara, we're here from shore to distant shore. Listen up, everyone. Aaron has showed everyone that the Shadow Bread is the way. It has been shown to be stronger than Mage of Magic's End. Plant that fucking shadow wheat everywhere. OTS doesn't want to plant it. Plant it in his ass if need be. Entire world in first shadow wheat, then shadow bread. Tell that Drathian's demons drowned, and pay him as far as eyes can go, everywhere. Don't leave an inch of the world without that damned wheat. Okay, Linu, one thing is the issue. Erin can make shadow bread because of her wondrous cooking skill. You can't just make shadow bread normally. At least we don't know of any way to make shadow bread normally. Even if you cook the bread with ash wheat, make a black piece of bread, it doesn't have the same properties as shadow bread. So without like 100,000 errands planted across the globe, we can't do that option. Kel says, and her frickin' prodigal talent for fighting. Still Karu's to point out to people and be like, I tried to tell you guys this ages ago. Yeah, that would be fun. I wonder if Calruz will come back to the end for the solstice. He apparently didn't want to come back for the beach at all. But I wonder if he'll be there for the solstice. All right. I think Calruz. I said Calruz for the solstice. Horned Minotaur guy. One-armed horned Minotaur guy. Yeah, I understand that hearing a name is definitely different, since obviously we aren't all going to pronounce the name the same way in our heads, or think it's pronounced one way. I tend to do some weird pronunciations. Sidehammer says if Zavara is going to be there, Kalruz will show. Maybe. Yeah, the way I read Alias, Alias is saying they don't pronounce things, or they don't pronounce names in their heads. And the way I read is I really need to like pronounce the name in my head, or I'm going to forget it like immediately. I'm going to forget who the heck it is immediately. So I have to keep pronouncing it over and over. Otherwise, I'll forget it all the time. Alias says I forget stuff a lot, so forsooth. Mystical Pie says I pronounce names in my head, but when I try to say them out loud, they often don't match up with what's in my head. Yeah, it happens to me too. It does. Sidehammer says, I have a robot read all of it to me, so you all sound funny when you say names. It's the robot being funny, okay? It's not us. Kel says, Zavara is in a one-piece swimsuit and wearing the floaties while waiting in